They met in college, fell head over heels, and got married right after graduation. To everyone who knew them, they were the perfect couple. She'd often whisper to him late at night, "I'll never leave you, Kyle, no matter what." He believed her with every fiber of his being. Their 15th anniversary was approaching, and Kyle wanted to do something truly special. He planned a surprise trip to Paris, the city where he had proposed. He spent weeks meticulously arranging every detail, from the flights to a romantic dinner cruise on the Seine. He pictured the look of pure joy on Vanessa's face. To keep it a secret, he told her he had a demanding project at work that required him to stay late for the next few weeks. Vanessa seemed understanding, though a little distant. Kyle chalked it up to the stress of her own job and managing the kids. One evening, while working late to finalize the Paris plans, Kyle realized he'd left an important folder at home. It contained the final confirmations for their trip. He decided to swing by the house to grab it. As he pulled into the driveway, he noticed the house was dark, except for a dim light in their bedroom. Strange, he thought. Vanessa usually waited up for him. He quietly let himself in, the dog greeting him with a soft tail wag. As he walked up the stairs, he heard voices from their bedroom. Low, hushed tones was in the TV. His heart started to pound in his chest. He crept closer to the partially open door, a cold dread washing over him. He heard Vanessa's voice, but it was a tone he'd never heard before, soft, intimate, and not meant for him. And then he heard a man's voice, a deep laugh that sent a shiver down his spine. Peeking through the crack in the door, Kyle's world shattered. There was Vanessa, entangled with another man. It was Mark, their neighbor, a man Kyle had considered a friend. They had barbecues together, their kids played together. The betrayal was a physical blow, knocking the air from his lungs. He backed away from the door, stumbling down the stairs in a daze. He felt numb, disconnected from his own body. He grabbed the folder he came for, his hands shaking violently, and walked out of the house he had built with so much love. He drove aimlessly for hours. The image of Vanessa and Mark burned into his mind. The words "I'll never leave you" echoed in his head, mocking him. How could this be happening? Was their entire life a lie? Every memory, every shared laugh, every promise was now tainted. The next morning, Kyle returned home. The house was quiet. Vanessa was in the kitchen making coffee, and she jumped when she saw him. "Kyle, you're home early." "I was so worried," she said, her voice laced with a falseness he could now see so clearly. He looked at her, his wife of 15 years, and saw a stranger. He placed the Paris travel folder on the kitchen counter. "I came home last night," he said, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "I needed to get this." Vanessa's face went pale. The color drained from her cheeks as the realization of what he was saying hit her. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Now the silence was deafening, filled with 15 years of broken trust. "Why, Vanessa?" Kyle asked, his voice cracking. She stammered out apologies, excuses about feeling lonely, about Kyle working too much. But her words were hollow. They couldn't patch the gaping wound she had carved into his heart. "You told me you'd never leave," Kyle said, his voice barely a whisper. "You were right. You didn't leave. Shh. You just brought someone else into our home, into our bed." The confrontation was brutal. The love and laughter that once filled their home were replaced with shouting, accusations, and heartbreaking sobs. Vanessa confessed it had been going on for 6 months. 6 months of lies, of secret meetings, of betrayal, all happening right under his nose. Kyle felt like a fool. The days that followed were a blur of pain and anger. Kyle moved into the guest room. The house felt like a war zone, heavy with unspoken tension. The kids could feel it, their innocent questions about why Daddy wasn't sleeping in the same room as Mommy tearing him apart. He had to make a choice. Could he forgive her? Could he ever trust her again? He looked at their family photos on the wall, smiling faces from vacations, birthdays, and holidays. Was all of that worth throwing away? Kyle sought counseling, trying to navigate the storm of emotions raging inside him. He needed clarity. The therapist helped him understand that his feelings of betrayal and anger were valid, but he also had to consider the kids and the life they had built. She handed him a letter. In it, she poured out her heart, expressing her profound regret and shame. He saw a glimmer of the woman he fell in love with, a woman lost and desperate. Forgiveness felt impossible, but the thought of dismantling their family was equally painful. He decided to give her one last chance, not for her, but for their children, and for the faint hope that they could somehow rebuild from the ashes. He laid out his conditions: complete honesty, no more contact with Mark, and couples therapy. It would be a long, arduous road. They attended therapy sessions, unearthing years of unspoken issues and communication breakdowns. It wasn't just about the affair, it was about the small drifts that had pulled them apart over the years without them even realizing it. Kyle, in turn, learned to communicate his own needs and fears, something he had often neglected. Their story didn't have a simple, happy ending. The scar of the betrayal would always be there. But they found a new kind of love, one that was more intentional, more honest, and more resilient. They learned that love isn't just about the good times, it's about surviving the storms together. Vanessa's promise to never leave had been broken, but in the wreckage, they found an opportunity to build something stronger. Their journey was a testament to the fact that sometimes the most profound love stories aren't the ones that are perfect, but the ones that endure, rebuild, and find a way to heal. Thank you for watching. If you have a story to share, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories.